Okay, just realised I've got a lot more bead moulds than I thought. So we're going to have a go at making some different ones to my previous videos. I'm going to do something fairly traditional with some dried flowers, and I've also got some little nail art bits and pieces here. The other thing I'm going to be trying out is a different brand of ultraviolet curing resin. So I've got Vista Lumen here, which is a new one on me. So we'll see how that goes. Got my little ultraviolet lamp, of course. For anyone who hasn't seen it before, let me just show you. It's a smashing little thing, this. It just clips on the edge of my desk. I can bend it and point it where I want, and it is really powerful as well. It cures things very, very quickly. I'll put you the link for this and for all these moulds and things down in the description below. The other thing I've had arrive recently, and I've put them out into a big sandwich box, is some new dried flowers. And I think some of these little tiny ones will be just great in these beads. Let's do some square beads this time. And I think I'm going to have a go at doing some of these now. I think that's completely round. Some of these, I think, I've got a feeling that one is like a teardrop. So let's have a go at those. And those little squares, those look like little squares. Flat round beads. I've got a few different shapes here, haven't I? Interesting. You know what? I keep ordering stuff and I forget what I've got, to be honest. Yeah, let's do those. Because we've done quite a few of the big hole beads, haven't we, in my other videos. So let's do these. So here's our mould. And first of all, let's try the nail art stuff. Now, what I tend to do, so that I don't end up with the whatever inclusions I'm putting in right up tight against the silicone of the mould, because I kind of want a layer of resin first, is I put in just a little bit of resin first and cure it up, and then I'll do the same on the top. And I haven't done square beads before, would you believe? I think it's because I don't tend to use square beads very much in my jewellery making. So definitely going to do all of these. These I'm not actually sure what shape they are. I think they're teardrop ones. Don't know. But let's just do the middle one of those and see what that's like. So I'm just putting a bit in there. And the same with all of these. Now with this pointy nozzle, you can get down the side of the little spike that's for making the hole. You'll notice these haven't got a spike. So I'll have to drill those or glue a bead cap on or something. So now I'm just going to get my little silicone ended brush and make sure that the resin has gone all around in the bottom of these as best I can. And have a little bodge and hope it pops the bubbles. Now, did we do all of these? We did, didn't we? So just giving it a wiggle just to make sure it's gone all the way around. Now you notice I don't tend to wear gloves when I'm using UV resin. I probably should. Warning to you all, I don't think it's toxic. It's just that if it cures when it's on your hands, it burns because it gets really hot. So, yes, just a little word of warning. Now, have I put too much in that one? Might have put too much, so I'm going to try and suck some out by squeezing the bottle, pointing it in, and letting it unsqueeze. There we go. That should have pulled a bit out. I'm going to clean the top of the bottle because if this cures all over the nozzle, that's how I tend to wreck nozzles. Okay, so a little bit of a clean up here. Just using my Wonder Wipes as usual. I'll put your links for the Wonder Wipes below. Baby wipes work too, they're fine. I just don't like the smell. It makes me feel sick. So, there we are. Right, we've got a bit in there. Let's get in with our lamp. The other lamp I'll be using actually for when we've got like I want to do a load at once like this. Instead of my little tiny lamp, as powerful as it is, it doesn't cover a very big area. So I'll be using this one as well. Which I know that looks little, but it does. If I hold it up like this, it'll cover quite a big area. So that's what I'm going to do. So, I don't know if you can see, that is actually ultravioleting quite a big area. so that'll be quicker. And you can leave it sat on top of your mould like that if you want. Probably going to end up with resin all over the lamp. I'll put you the link for this lamp as well if I can find it below. It's a useful little tool. If I'm trying to do like a big area of ultraviolet resin, I'll very often just kind of hang this. As you can see, it's got a hangy thing. You can angle it too, look. So sometimes I'll just hang it above. In fact, on the little holder that's holding my camera. Sometimes I'll do that. Right, let's turn him off for a minute. So that should have set up. So it didn't go right into the corners even then, but that should have set up what we've got here already. Let's put a little bit more in that one and give it a quick zap. My little lamp can do that one. You can see that's very powerful for such a tiny lamp. The lamps that you use for nail art are great as well, because you sit them over it and you can actually put quite a lot under one of those lamps. The only thing I would say with the nail art lamps, you need to look for one that sits like that and doesn't have a base in it, because if it's got a base in it, you've got to try and manhandle these into it without tipping them. So whereas if it's one that just sits over, you can just go straight over the top. So yes, I've got a few of those, so I really must do a thing on ultraviolet lamps at some point. Right, so these then. First of all, I want to try these. These are some really cutesy little nail art things that came in the post this morning, actually. Yeah, hot off the press this is. As you can see, there's these little flowers, and then they come with a coordinating load of little beads, and they've stuck themselves to the inside of the lid, which is nice of them. So, first of all, in this square one, I'm going to drop in some of those. And then this is where the little lamp comes in handy. We can just point it at one at a time. I'll put a little bit more resin. It's going to take quite a lot of resin actually, they're quite big. There we are, and zap that, because I'm going to keep building it up because you want the bits to go all the way through it. Now we could just, and I think I probably will for the last layer, just pour some resin in and mix the bits in. Just be aware that they can sink, so you want to either do it in layers or cure it very quickly or use a really thick resin. Obviously if you're using ultraviolet curing resin, then you can cure it quickly anyway. So for this last layer, now I'm sure I've got somewhere I want them to. I'm not going to be quite so fussy. Well, not last layer, but next layer. We're going to be tipping in some more flowers. And just tipping the beads in. I'm just going to stir these in this time, because I know I've got that base layer where I want it. And you can see they're sinking already. They are already going down there. So I'm going to cure that quickly. And if it's only partially cured, then maybe put a few more of the little beads, these little chaps on the top. Yeah, it's just firmed up, it hasn't fully cured. I'm just trying to make sure that they, you know, there's a bit of the little fillers, the inclusions, all the way through. There. Give a bit more of a zap. Now I'm going to top it right up now, up to the top of the mould. So doing it this way, it should ensure that at no point these little inclusions are right against the top or the bottom of the mould. Which means they're nicely encapsulated. I'm using big words today, aren't I? Well, for me. Big words for me. Right, there we are. And let's give that a cure. So we must see how that one goes. I think I'll do another one like that, but this time I will just go straight in and mix the bits in from the start. Let's have, this one looks like white and bronze. Or copper. White and copper? I think so. Let's try that one next. Okay, observations of the resin so far. Nice, cures fast. Don't seem to be having a bubble issue particularly, although if there were bubbles in these I think it would add to the effect. Oh, they're pink, they're not white. Oh, aren't they nice? Going to get almost like a rose gold effect, aren't we? So yeah, so I made sure I've got a couple of the little flowers down in the bottom. Yeah, so far I'm impressed with the UV resin. It smells pretty much the same as other UV resins that I've used. They do tend to smell more than epoxy resin does. Yet the fumes, I'm told, aren't dangerous. I'll leave you to be the judge of that. Always follow the instructions. It does on here say caution, can cause skin irritation, allergic reactions. It's got all the warnings. The Vista stuff puts its warnings very upfront and clear. It really does. The other brands I've used in the past, you have to ask them for the safety data sheets. When they come, you find they don't necessarily comply with EU and UK laws, and yeah. So anyway, this is part of the reason I'm looking at Vista, because it's a UK brand, and so no offence to other countries there intended. It's just that I want to, firstly, what's wrong with supporting your own country's businesses? I think that's a good thing anyway. And secondly, I'm kind of a bit concerned on this safety front after having some nasty run-ins with resins myself. Okay, I'm just curing that a bit because I can see everything, even though I stirred it in, has sunk. So I'm just curing it a bit to give myself a thicker layer. I'm going to keep trying to move these bits up in the resin. Yeah, I just think the nice thing when I went to look at the Vista website was you could just go straight to it. There were all the safety data sheets. I've had an expert look over them as well, because, as I say, not because I'm being crafty, not being sneaky. It's just that having had issues, I kind of wanted to look into it a bit more, and I certainly didn't want to stop doing resin and just assume that they were all the same, because it turns out they're not. And Vista's safety data sheet, resin's resin. You're never going to get a completely safe resin, I don't think. But the safety data sheets were a lot more helpful. The ingredients in them that cause the allergic reactions more typically didn't seem to be as prevalent either. So that's why I thought I'd try Vista. And while I was at it, I've never had any problems with ultraviolet resin anyway. But I thought while I'm at it, I might as well try their UV resin. And so far, I have to say, I'm liking it. I am liking it. Top coat going in on this one then. There we are. Yes, I'm trialling the two-part epoxy from Vista as well. And I'll keep you posted on how I get on. Just done my first couple of projects with it, so those will be uploaded soon, actually. Within the next couple of days, those videos will be on. Right. I might get brave and demould these in a minute. Don't know. It's cured fast. It does seem to have left a slightly sticky surface, as some UV resins do. Can that wipe off? Yep. It just wipes off. Bit like using nail art that's ultraviolet curing. Right, so we're going to do these flowers next. I'm going to try some bigger flowers in that one. We have got, what have we got? Well, these are, I don't know, they look like miniature hydrangeas to me. But let's try them. I'm just going to stuff them in. And in other news, I've recently treated myself to a new flower press, because my old one was a silly little tiny toy one. And I'd also been using one of those ones that you put in the microwave, and I found that it takes the colour out of the flowers a bit more than I would like. So I bought myself just a big wooden flower press, big old-fashioned one. And it looks really nice. So I'm going to be having a go at drying flowers again. I've dried flowers recently, I've just not pressed dried them. And I'm going to be having a go at dyeing them as well, once we've got flowers back in the gardens. Because these clearly are dyed. Very pretty, aren't they? Apparently they're dyed with alcohol inks, so that is what I am going to be trying. Food colouring can work apparently as well, but like most of us, I've got a load of alcohol inks, so why not give that a go? Oh, there's an interesting little thing. Oh, look at that. What a funny, interesting little seed head type thing. Don't know what else I'm doing with that one. I want to see what shape it is first. Will these go around the sides of one of those? Probably not. That could do with going in one of them, couldn't it? Let's stick that in there. I haven't actually put any resin in this one yet, so I don't know which way up even it wants to be. Let's have a poke round. I think it wants to be up the other way. I've got a feeling this will be the bottom. I don't know. I'm going to put it kind of side on so it doesn't matter. Oh, some more. I found some more. Interesting. This is quite a nice selection. This lot, as I said, only came a couple of days ago, so I will put you links for these too. I think because I seem to have got quite a lot for my money there, so I think I'm probably going to invest in some more of the other colours that they've got as well. I just thought I hadn't done much in this sort of pretty pastels, powder blues and things for a while. So that's what I thought I would do this time. You know, with that one I might put a few of these little silvery beads. If I can do it, if I can get them out. Just a few. Oh, they're all going into the one next door as well. Give it a bit of sparkle. Okay, so I'm going to fill these up now. As you can see, the stalks are still sticking out of this one. What I'm going to do is get the resin in first, or at least quite a bit of it. Let it settle, because I want to obviously let the bubbles come to the surface if they're going to. And then I will trim those off. I'm going to cure it up once it gets up to, you know, part full. Because it'll be holding them steady by then, won't it? And this, I've just stuffed those flowers in. I really don't know what that's going to come out like. But let's start putting some resin in it and see what happens. Same with this one. The little thing has fallen over. I don't even know what it is, so I'm not going to worry too much. I mean, as in terms of the shape is what I mean, but I don't know what it is. I'm hoping they are the teardrop ones. That takes a lot of resin, that one. Blimey. Right, this is settling in. I can see the bubbles are starting to come out. I haven't done anything with these yet, have I? Right, so I'm going to cure what I've got so far there. This one, I really don't know what else to do with that one. Maybe put a little bit of these in. As I said, I'm quite curious to know what shape these even are. Kind of fun messing about, isn't it? Let's get a bit of light over to those while I trim these off. Now, I'm just going to take some scissors. Oh, my poor scissors. I need to have a clean up. And because these are now held firmly in the mould, I can just trim. Now, obviously being careful not to cut the spike off. I might leave all the any little stalks that fall back into the resin. I'm going to leave them, I think. Why not? Yeah, I mustn't cut off the little rubber stalk that's the hole, creates the hole for the bead. But you can see I've now got those down all below the top surface of the mould, so I can fill it up. Okay, so filling this one up again. Okay, there's some bubbles coming up there that I can see. By the nature of what these are, I'm not going to worry about bubbles, because I think with the flowery inserts and everything, it's, you know, the bubbles will just look like little dewdrops or something. It'll look nice. So I'm quite happy with bubbles. The way you don't want them is kind of on the edges and on corners and things, because that spoils the shape of the bead. But actually in amongst the little flowers, or on the surface like that one even. Yeah, in amongst the flowers, I'm not going to bother too much about those. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Let's top this one up a bit more, top this one up a bit more. And this just leaves really just these to have a play with then. I think the only problem with doing stuff like this is the danger when you're putting stuff in resin, you are going to trap more bubbles than you want in there, but if you let it stand a little before you cure it, you should get rid of most of them. There we go. So I'm just going to let those stand. Again, I've got a bit of stalk sticking out here. Can probably just push that in. Trim it off afterwards if not anyway. Right, just because I want to see what these cubes look like in their full glory, I'm going to stuff some of my random flakes into these last two. Oh, this bit got into those other ones. I don't care. This is just simply because I wanted to do some sparkly ones. There's no reason to it other than that. Now the sparkle in this holographic glitter stuff, they're sort of random flakes. More nail art stuff. It does, the minute you put resin on it, oh, the colour sparkles. But it's another one of those things where you could just mix it in and then pour it into the mould, but I do like to get that layer of clear on first. So I quite like putting it in the mould and then fiddling with it. So a micro brush is ideal for that. When I say fiddling with it, I mean kind of stirring it up like so. Again, it will start sinking. That's what always happens. But at least what I've done is, in putting that layer of resin in first, I've made sure that it doesn't sink right to the very bottom. And oh look, there's a load of bubbles. Again, as I always say, I don't mind a few bubbles. Adds to the sparkle, doesn't it? There we are. Just leaving this lot, which I now don't know what I'm going to do with. Possibly some more of these. Yeah, let's put some more of these in. I've not seen these flowers before. These are a different, yeah, the ones that look like fluffier I've definitely seen before. And obviously I've used things like forget-me-nots. They are the easiest little flowers to dry, and they keep their colour really, really well. A lot of flowers don't. You know, once you put them in resin, the heat gets to them and it drains the colour out. Forget-me-nots, they just don't. They stay that beautiful, cute blue. Yeah, this is the fluffy ones I meant. These little pom-pom ones. Difficulty with this is actually getting them into the mould without trashing them too much. I'm just going to leave that at that. And the last ones here, I'm just going to leave. I'll do something with those next time. So while those are curing up, let's fill these up. Now always make sure you are filling these up properly, because what can happen is you can end up with a bubble on the top and you think it's full and it's not. So if you push the spike to one side and go around the side like that, you'll be sure you're filling it up. You can actually see where it's joining around the sides there. Oops, a little bit come out there. And again, I'll be taking the spikes off the plant, you know, the stalks off these in a moment. While those settle, oh, some bubbles coming up. There we are. Well, while those settle, I'm just going to put the top coat on these two random glitter ones I've done. I'm going to put my big UV lamp over the whole lot and leave it for about 10 minutes then. The thing you need to make sure is that the light gets all the way through it. I very often stand my stuff on a mirror. Actually, if I can find a mirror, I'll do that in a moment, because that helps to get the light from underneath. But also you can just flip them over and hit them with the ultraviolet light from the back. Works perfectly well. As you can see with these ones here, as the resin is settling down and the bubbles are coming up, it's sinking down. So before I go curing it, I just want to make sure that that is genuinely is full and it's not just thinking it's full because of the bubbles. More bubbles here, look, there we are. Now I'm finding as well with ultraviolet resin is that although my craft room is pretty well lit, I'm right by a nice window. I've also got this like a daylight lamp going on above it, but there's nothing going on that's going to cure the resin fast while I'm not wanting it to. I bet if I left it all day it would. But so far so good. Right, I'm just going to go and get a mirror. So, just to show you the sort of thing I use in terms of mirrors, this is actually a mirror tile. A sticky, you know, one of these fake mirror tiles, sticky surface ones. And if you pull there's a protective film on the top, and as you can see, that is really reflective. It doesn't work terribly well as a mirror, I don't think, in terms of, you know, you'd struggle to put your makeup on in it, but it is really reflective, and the back is sticky. So very often I'll stick these onto bits of card. But the nice thing about using these is it really makes for a kind of disposable mirror. And you can buy big packs of them really cheap. So again, I'll put the link for that below. I don't know whether the mirror trick is something I've invented. I don't know. A couple of people have said they thought so. I don't know. It's just something I started doing. So, yes. Hope you find it useful. I think very often it's worth turning the things over and making sure that you have got the ultraviolet light all through anyway, but it's just an extra, you know, way to get the light from underneath. The only problem you got, you see, is that if you put a lot of stuff in your resin, the light isn't going to get all the way through it unless you get the light to come at it from behind as well. I've just ordered, actually, and it should be here soon, another ultraviolet lamp that's like a wraparound. So I'll let you know how I get on with that. So it goes over and it wraps around. So that could be interesting. Right, so I'm going to point my little light at it, but just for good measure I'm going to put the big lamp on as well, and you'll see how that is throwing the ultraviolet up from underneath too. Apologies if it's blinding you a bit. And then of course I'm going to have to trim the stalks off these. So I'm going to just let the ultraviolet work its wonders for a little while, and then we will be back for a demould. Okay, I'm back. Just got the last bit of light on these now. What I was going to do is just give them a quick blast from behind, just to be on the safe side. So that's what I meant about hitting them from behind with the ultraviolet. You could do that. I mean, it should be pretty good because we've had the ultraviolet light from below. My only concern about these is they're quite big and quite deep. Is that really going to work for UV resin? Might be too deep, and I can see it's bubbling like mad, which I think is because it's probably building up a huge amount of heat in there. Goodness me, can you see that? So it could be really that these bigger ones, you're better off just using your 2-part epoxy. I think that's what I'm going to say on this front. So yeah, let's leave that a bit longer. These ones, I don't know, these aren't as deep, so we'll see. I'm not seeing bubbles coming up in these. I think those might be okay. But these I am concerned about. These I think should be alright as well. Right, let's get these demoulded. I think these were the ones I did first, weren't they? Oh, there's some heat in there. Okay, easy to demould with these moulds. Still feel slightly sticky. But yeah, oh look at that. Now that is a bead fit for weddings. Got a little hole through it. I don't know if you can see this. I'm trying not to handle it too much because it is slightly sticky still. Look at that. And that resin, I have to say, is very clear. I'm not keen on the sticky surfaces that some of these UV, well, pretty much all of the UV resins leave. I've never found one that doesn't. I know I've heard people say, oh yes, there's no sticky resin on this one. Don't believe it. I really don't believe it. I've tried every brand under the sun and I cannot find one that isn't at least a little bit sticky for a while afterwards. But that is beautiful. Pleased with that. Oh yeah. Again, really sticky. I think maybe I needed to leave them under the lamp a little bit longer. It would have got a bit less sticky. But how pretty is that? Now that is very, very pretty again. This all smacks of wedding jewellery to me. That one might need just a little bit of a sand around the top. Just going to move these onto my silicone mat so they don't stick, because as I said, they are still slightly sticky. I think it's down to the depth. I think this is probably about the limit that you can use UV resin to depth-wise. Just trim these bits off. You can trim with scissors as well, of course. Well, it's still that little bit soft, like so. It's just a little bit of overpour. But again, look how pretty. Oh, it's adorable, isn't it? The underneath, yeah. But you can see, because I put that layer of resin in first, it hasn't gone right to the very bottom. You've got that little layer of resin against the, between the beads and the where the mould was. But I love how those little flowers look like they're floating. That's so sweet. Right, good old-fashioned glitter. Let's see what these have come out like. I just love mylar flakes. Oh look, pretty glitter, pretty glitter. Again, let's just trim some little bits of overpour off. Yay, pretty glitter. So yeah, this thing I do at the bottom, it is very much optional, and you know, the same with the top. You end up with a layer both sides. I just think it sets off the inclusions better. But you know, that's just me. Do or don't. It's up to you. Have fun, experiment, do what makes you happy, that sort of thing. A bit more trimming. Obviously got a bit slap happy with the resin at the end of this one too. And again, oh look at that. These flakes just ping so much. Of course you can get them in different colours as well. This is just a load of Crystal AB ones. Now let's have a look at these guys. I have been a bit concerned about some of these. These big ones bubbled. So that is going to be the, I'm pretty sure that is the limit. That is as far as you can push the depth. Let's see what these come out like. Remember, I'm not even sure what shape half of these are. Oh, these are round ones, okay. Oh yeah, cute. Cute, got the flowers in there, got some bubbles. Probably need to do a bit of sanding and polishing on that one to finish it. But yeah, that's cute. And I just did all these the same, so I'm expecting something similar really. That was the pom-pommy fluffy ones. I think, to be honest, although using UV resin is quick with these, I'm finding these are all still sticky. They've all got more bubbles than I wanted. A bit of trimming off to do there. And of course I'm ending up with fingerprints all over them as a result, which isn't ideal. So I think next time I do these, I shall just take my time and just use epoxy resin instead. But I have to say, big thumbs up to the UV resin. I think this is just a step too far with the depth. I'm impressed with it as a product. And I shall probably be ordering the Vista one again. Oh, now that's come out rather nice. Got some weird crackle effect going on in it. That's where it bubbled. But actually, oh, it's still hot. And there's still some bubbles in there. Actually, do you remember, I wasn't really sure what I was doing with that one. I just stuffed it in. Yeah. Now this one really bubbled. This pushed the limits, I think, too much. Oh, and it's hot. But oh, isn't it pretty? And actually, where I've got that weird crackle effect, I don't think that's a problem. Now, I thought these would be the teardrop shaped moulds, and they're not, so we'll do some of those some other time. But actually, that weird crackle effect from where it overheated and bubbled, obviously I need to trim those off. I'm not unhappy about that. One thing you can see is how beautifully clear this resin is, and there's no yellowness to it. Some UV resins can be quite yellowish, and that's not. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you got something out of it. It was certainly fun making it. I do like messing about and sharing it with you. So if you did like the video, then please give me a thumbs up, because that does actually remind me of which videos people are enjoying, so I can bring you more sort of related content. If you haven't subscribed already, also please do, because then I can let you know easily when I'll be putting new videos out for you. Finally, I'll just say that I do request, so where the comments are down below, if there's anything you'd like to see me try out for you, then yeah, just tell me and I'll see what I can do. And of course, those of you who have subscribed, do have a scroll down my community tab, because there are some freebies in there for you to grab, some printable downloads and things. So do take a look and help yourself. Right then, I'll see you for the next video. Thank you again, and enjoy messing. Have fun. Make a mess. Let's get messy.